Is it still possible to enjoy the latest games using the RTX 4060 paired with the 4K monitor in January 2025? Let's find out. Obviously, we'll use DLSS resolution upscaling because there is no way the RTX 4060 can run 4K native in the latest games. And in terms of specifications, I'm using the ASUS RTX 4060 Dual paired with the Ryzen 7 9800X3D CPU as part of the Be Quiet PC build, powered by MSI. And we'll be experiencing the games on the 4K 144Hz MSI G321CU monitor. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. There is no need to spend that much money on Windows 11 Pro when you can get it much cheaper at cdkeyoffer.com. Additionally, use discount code iVadim to get 25% off and bring the total price down to $22. Furthermore, you can find Windows 10 Pro as well as Microsoft Office at much cheaper prices as well. Get yours now at the link in the description below, and don't forget to use discount code iVadim to get 25% off. Let's start with Path of Exile 2. We are at 4K resolution using DLSS resolution upscaling set to performance mode. This is 1080p upscaled to 4K. Dynamic resolution is off. All the graphics settings are maxed out, including shadow and GI. NVIDIA Reflex is on, and dynamic culling is off as well. Right away, this looks quite impressive. Inside of the town, we're getting close to 60 FPS, regardless of the fact that we have all the settings maxed out. The GPU is consuming somewhere around 110 to 115 watts of power. CPU is sipping power as well, below 50 watts. And in this game, we don't have to worry about VRAM usage too much. It's quite good. 5.5 gigabytes, so we have 2.5 gigabytes left. Visually, DLSS Performance looks quite good. I mean, it's not as good as Balanced or Quality mode, but this is still a lovely experience. No issues in terms of visuals. Let's get some more enemies on our back. Yes, let's go. And now start casting spells. 50 FPS, 49, 48. Wow. Okay, this is already very playable. And, you know, we don't even have to adjust any of the settings. 40 plus FPS for the 4060 is fine, I think, but I still want to see 60 plus FPS consistently. That's why we have to adjust some settings. GI and shadow quality is one of the most expensive settings to run in this game, so let's lower that a little bit, set it to high, and that gives us a nice boost. Instead of 60-ish FPS, we're now at 76 FPS. And the difference is quite substantial. Take a look at this. We're even reaching 80 FPS. And 66 was the lowest, 65 was the lowest number I've seen so far. This is good. Let's gather a large crowd of enemies before dispatching them. Let's see. Okay. Even without using the skills, we are already at 70, 67, 69 FPS. Nice. Alright, I think that's enough enemies. Let's see what happens when we start casting magic. 50, 49. Yeah, this is still an enjoyable experience. The fact that we can achieve this without using dynamic culling or dynamic resolution scaling is amazing. I think this was a perfectly good experience, but if you want more FPS, you can always lower that resolution upscaling setting. Let's set it to Ultra Performance. This is 720p upscaled to 4K. And we are not actually getting that much more out of it. Yeah, The FPS is better, but even on performance mode, it was still very good, enjoyable, fluid. Take a look at this. We're now getting consistently 60 plus FPS. So yeah, if you want to stay above 60 FPS at all times, then this is the way to go. And in terms of image quality, yes, indeed, we do see some regression, noticeable regression in quality on the 32-inch 4K display, but it's not too bad considering that we're using a below $300 GPU paired with a 4K monitor. STALKER 2 is up next, and we are at 4K resolution using high graphics quality preset. I don't think we should use the highest, which would be epic. That's just unreasonable, in my opinion. I don't think the RTX 4060 can handle it. And just out of curiosity, let's check out native 4K resolution. Let's select NVIDIA DLAA. Everything else is set to high. I just find it interesting to see what the baseline is for the native 4K resolution. And it is 20 FPS. Yeah, not great, but this is to be expected. I mean, the 4060 is not marketed or targeted at 4K gaming. It's 1080p or 1440p at most. Let's select DLSS resolution upscaling, set to performance mode, and see if we can actually get a playable experience. So far, not too bad. I mean, this game features software ray tracing. It was built in Unreal Engine 5. It's one of the most demanding games currently available. So, to see a playable experience out of the RTX 4060 on a 4K monitor is quite amazing. I always aim for 60 plus FPS, but in a pinch, this is playable. 40 plus. And we are in one of the most GPU demanding areas in the game, Pripyat. Let's see what happens if we use DLSS Ultra Performance. That's 720p upscaled to 4K. And here it is, 60 FPS. Nice. Although we do get dips to around 55 from time to time. But this is a nice experience. I mean, if I were playing this game, I think I would use this set of settings. Yes, the graphics are not as sharp, but the image is smoother, and I prefer that. We could lower graphics quality to medium, and I think we should try that next and see if we can actually get a playable experience at higher DLSS resolution upscaling quality. Let's see, let's actually do that right now. Graphics quality medium, and we'll bring DLSS back up to performance mode. This set of settings does not deliver that 60 FPS experience. We're still hovering around 50-ish, 47, 48. Yeah, it's not that much better compared to high graphics quality preset. It appears that we still have to use DLSS set to Ultra Performance if we want that 60 FPS experience, or at least close to 60 in most cases. It's going to be somewhere between like 50 to 65 in that range. Although we do have quite a bit of VRAM budget left, around 2.6, 2.5 gigabytes. That is enough to turn on frame generation. If you're after frame fluidity, then this is the way to go. DLSS frame generation, let's enable that. Okay, close to 60 FPS, but still not quite there. 54, 55. Not bad though. And the latency is minimal because we had well above 40 FPS base. That's a good enough experience in my opinion. Obviously, for best experience, you should get at least 60 FPS before you're turning on frame generation, but if you're in a pinch and want to make the most out of your GPU, then I think this is acceptable. I definitely prefer this set of settings with frame generation instead of using lower resolution upscaling quality, because at least now we are getting a sharper image, more detailed, and that looks nicer. In a single player game, that's what I value the most. But if you are not into frame generation, then no judging here. Let's turn it off and select Ultra Performance DLSS. And this way we are getting above 60 FPS. Oh yes, this is the good stuff. Oh, 59 briefly, but mostly above 60. If you want that 60 plus FPS, then this is the graphics settings for you. Unfortunately, you do have to use medium graphics quality preset with DLSS resolution upscaling set to Ultra Performance. This game is just way too demanding for the RTX 4060 to really, enjoy it on a 4K monitor, but it is still possible. You just have to be okay with making some compromises, tweaking some settings. The game still looks okay. It's not as detailed as it would have been if you were using something a bit more powerful, like the RTX 4070 or the 4070 Super. That's my favorite. This is still quite nice, but you have to be aware of the issues when you're using lower DLSS quality presets. It introduces more ghosting, like with this corner over here. Yeah. Once we set it too low, there is not enough of information to work with, and that introduces ghosting. Although this is still DLSS 3, the 4060 will be upgraded to DLSS 4 soon, and DLSS 4 will be actually available in STALKER 2 as well, so it will be interesting to revisit this GPU later on to see how it does when DLSS 4 comes out. Unfortunately, because the RTX 4060 has just 8GB of video memory, means that some games will just straight up refuse to run on it. And the latest Indiana Jones game, and The Great Circle, is the perfect example. Check this out. Right now, we're at 1080p, the FPS is okay, and yes, this is rendered in real time, so that is the kind of performance we would get in this game. Right, but let's see. What are we working with, actually? I've set everything to the lowest possible. Low graphics quality setting, low texture pool size, so you can't go lower than that. And I'm actually on DLSS Performance right now at 1080p, so that's not right. So let's actually disable it. Let's go to native resolution and see what happens. Okay, we're using 7.2 gigabytes of memory already, and this is at 1080p. Now let's see what happens if we enable DLSS Performance, keep everything on low, and select 4K resolution. Hit apply. It actually worked this time. Alright, let's enter the game and see what happens. This is weird because off camera, I tested it yesterday just to see, like, is it gonna be even possible to get this thing to work? And I couldn't get it to work. The game would just show me something like 3-4 FPS using this set of settings. So I'm guessing that sometimes it works and other times it doesn't, which doesn't bode well for stability. And yeah, basically the problem is that 8 gigabytes of memory is not enough for some games. Although right now, it is working fine. Hold on, let's reload the game. I'm just curious to see, like, can we replicate that problem once more? Alright, it still appears to be working fine. Let's just double check. We're at 4K resolution, low graphics quality preset, and DLSS set to performance. Okay. But it still says estimated VRAM requirements exceeded. And the game recommends lowering some of the following settings: texture, pool size, hair quality, global illumination, shadows, but it's pretty much all lowered to the absolute minimum. Let's see what happens if we enable DLSS Ultra Performance. Will the game say that this is okay now? Do we have enough VRAM? Hold on. It appears to be happy with us running on Ultra Performance. Yeah, the warning message is now gone. Let's see what the performance is like. Yeah, so just keep that in mind, that if you want to play this game on low settings with DLSS Performance, then you might run into issues. As you've seen, this time around it was fine, but I'm telling you, yesterday, off camera, I had issues. But right now it's fine. And this experience it's not brilliant. I mean, playing the game on low just because we don't have enough memory is kind of meh. I don't like it. I don't like how the game looks on low. This is a beautiful game, and it actually runs really well on NVIDIA GPUs. So the only limiting factor is VRAM. If we had 12 gigabytes of VRAM, we could use a much higher quality, and the game would still play fine on the RTX 4060. We'll still be able to get 60-ish FPS consistently. Keep in mind that this is one of the most graphically demanding areas in the game, the jungle. And we're still getting 100 FPS over here, 90 plus over there. Yeah, so the 4060 is very much capable in this game, and it's a huge shame that it only has 8 gigabytes of memory. The Intel ARC B580 is a good alternative on paper with 12 gigabytes of memory. However, as we've previously seen in the testing that I've done recently, it just doesn't work in the latest games. I mean, it's a driver issue, most likely, so that's on Intel. Even if they need to contact game developers to make some adjustments, then that's their job. That's what they have to do. And it's a shame. On paper, the B580 is a great graphics card, but in reality, it gets beaten by the 8GB RTX 4060 because this card just provides a much more pleasant experience. In conclusion, the RTX 4060 can still deliver a good experience in most latest games. As I mentioned, we had some issues with Indiana Jones, but other than that, we can still get a playable experience even in STALKER 2, which is one of the most graphically demanding games to run. Although it must be noted that we had to use DLSS resolution upscaling set to Ultra Performance to get to that 60 FPS experience with the 4060, which I don't particularly like doing because setting resolution upscaling that low introduces more noise, more ghosting, and that is not nice. So I like staying at DLSS Performance if I'm playing on a 4K monitor. Overall, in January 2025, it is still possible to enjoy most games using the RTX 4060 paired with the 4K monitor, which is great to see. Let me know in the comments what do you think about this setup. And if you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to reward my work with a like, that helps out a lot, and subscribe for more if you haven't already. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.